welcome to class. Let's find our way down onto our backs. So we'll start lying on our backs. I'm just gonna, my yoga mat's already traveling about the floor. We'll find our way down. My suggestion when you come down onto your back is that you keep your feet on the floor and your knees bent. So your knees are pointing up towards the ceiling. Find a place that is reasonably comfortable, and if this doesn't suit you, you can absolutely choose to just lie a different way. As we come down onto the mat, we're maybe thinking about the places in the body that make contact with the floor underneath you, and just checking that they're comfortable. The hands can rest wherever you like, on your belly, by your sides, out wide, like a big capital T. Anything that feels right in your body, you're welcome to test out different variations. And as we always do, we'll spend just a couple of moments dropping into quiet, dropping into the body in this present moment. When you're lying on your back, it's nice perhaps to begin with those very tangible touch points of the body against the mat underneath you. Notice those places where the body is supported, is held by the mat, by the floor. See if you can allow tension to begin to drop out of the body in those places where the body is fully supported. Perhaps becoming aware of the clothes touching your skin. Perhaps dipping a layer deeper and beginning to become aware of what's happening inside the body. Perhaps noticing sensation here. And don't forget, we so often get stuck thinking about tension or fatigue or restlessness or any of the other slightly uncomfortable sensations that are likely to pop into the front of the mind. If you're noticing things like that, discomfort, then make a mental note of it. Let it inform your practice. But try not to let your practice revolve around it. And then see if you can get the attention to move on. Combing the body for interesting sensation, for observations, without judgment. Perhaps adding on less tangible elements, things like your mood, your energy level. Until you have built a full picture in your mind of how the body is here in this moment. And in your own time, as you feel ready, begin to draw your attention to the breath. Try not to change the breath. So it's really tempting to rush in and to make the breath into something else, to make the breath in some way, air quotes, more yogic. But instead, just see if you can allow the breath to be easy and relaxed and observe how it feels. And take a couple more breaths in quiet here, just noticing how the body is. And then when you're ready, perhaps inviting in a slightly more energetic breath. You might choose to begin to make movements that feel good as you begin to wake up the body. So maybe stretching out the hands and rolling the wrists, maybe stretching out the toes and rolling the ankles. Maybe turning the head from side to side. Perhaps Perhaps you want to stretch the arms and legs out long, kind of have a big, full stretch through the body from fingertips to toes. That might feel really good. And then we'll meet back with the hands by the sides and the feet planted on the floor. The body awake, feeling a little more alert. We're just going to start to find some activation through the glutes, through that kind of posterior chain, and a little bit of a sense of kind of openness in the front of the hips. We've come to this a couple of times over the last few weeks, so you might be beginning to get familiar with it. We're going to find that rock and roll of the pelvis. So starting off by drawing the belly button down to the floor, imprinting the back body into the mat and feeling the tailbone curl just slightly away from the floor, perhaps with an inhale breath. Exhaling, you're going to take it in the other direction and press the tailbone down into the floor. The hip bones rock up towards the knees. There might feel like there is a little space, a little gap, some air underneath the lower back. And we'll keep that going on your inhale, pulling the belly button down, pressing the back body into the floor, feeling the tailbone lift. And then taking it the other way. Tailbone presses down, hips tilt forwards. There's some space under the lower back. We'll go one more time into that before we make it into something else. Pull the belly button down, imprint the lower back. This should feel like a real core muscle switch on. And then take it the other way. Press the tailbone down. Notice a lift in the lower back, a sensation of stretching through the belly maybe. This time, you're going to rock back, pull the belly button to the floor, allow the tailbone to lift. When you get to that moment, as the tailbone lifts, press the feet firmly into the floor and allow the hips to rise away from the mat in the direction of that scooping. So you begin to roll the back body up and away from the floor. And in order to get that controlled action, you're really hips up towards the ceiling. When you get to the top, which is perhaps the shoulder blades resting on the floor, you'll swap it around for an exhale, lower through the vertebrae, each and every bone of the spine dropping towards the mat as you unfurl. And as you come down, you're really going to look for that core control. That's what's going to control your descent. So we're moving into an out of bridge, but we're not necessarily thinking too much about the back bend. And we're more thinking about the muscular activation, which allows us to get to that shape. So let's go through it a couple more times. Pulling the belly button down to the floor, feeling the tailbone curl up and away from the mat. And then in that same direction, you're going to squeeze the bum to lift the hips. Really squeeze the bum in. Reach the knees away as you get the hips high. Maybe taking an inhale breath at the top. And then using the exhale and that core control, the belly button hugging into the center line to lower one vertebrae at a time through the lower back, and then eventually the tailbone touching down. You'll start again. Inhale, pull the belly button down, rock the tailbone up, squeeze the bum, find that lift. It is really super slow and controlled. You're switching between real glute activation and stretching the belly. On your exhale, you come into real core activation, controlling the descent of the kind of heavy hips and glutes. We'll go for one more round, pulling the belly button down, tailbone curls up, follow in that direction, squeeze the bum. You're breathing the whole time. I find it useful to take an inhale breath at the top and then use the exhale to begin the lower down. You've got that sensation of the belly hugging in, the sides of the waist hugging in. As you touch down on the mat, you're going to draw both knees into the chest. Hands are going to rest over the kneecaps, and we'll just find a circle through the knees. Both knees are going to roll in the same direction. So circle the knees. It doesn't matter which way you circle them, clockwise or anti-clockwise, but you're just going to roll the knees in the same direction, getting this kind of rolling movement through the lower back, the back of the hips pressing into the mat. Might feel like there's something quite enjoyable here, a place where you want to go slowly through a part of the movement and see how it feels. When you're ready, simply change direction, roll both knees back the other way. Your choice how quickly or how slowly you're moving. When you feel ready, you're going to draw yourself back through to center. No hurry, no rush to get there. Perhaps give the knees a squeeze in now. So you might choose to squeeze them in with your hands. You might wrap your forearms all the way around and squeeze the knees in that way, as much or as little as you like. If you enjoy this sensation of squeezing in the knees, you may take it one step further, perhaps. And with an inhale breath, lift the head, pulling the belly down, trying not to lift just with the neck, but use a little bit of that core power to lift the head, tuck the nose to the knees. Take an inhale breath. Exhale, lower the head and shoulders down. Allow the tailbone to lengthen away as you squeeze the knees in one last time. And then from here, we're going to make our way up to seated. Your choice how you get there. You can roll onto your side and push yourself up to sit. You can tuck the hands in behind the knees and rock up and down the length of the spine a few times maybe, enjoying that sensation as you come up to sit. Or you can cross over at the ankles, catch hold of the outside edges of the feet, bit of a challenge for me now to do this and talk, and see if you can rock yourself up into a seated position from there. It doesn't matter which way you get there, we'll meet seated. You can sit cross-legged, you can kneel if you prefer that. You can have the legs lengthened straight out in front of you. Come into a couple of very straightforward sort of shapes here. On your inhale breath, you're going to sweep the arms up and overhead when you're ready. And as you exhale, you're simply going to draw the arms down into a kind of W shape, making space across the chest, the palms face forward. So we've thought a lot about mobility, moving in the lower back and the hips and the tailbone. We get a little bit of that into the shoulders here. When you're ready, your inhale sweeps the arms back up. Exhale, you'll draw down into that W shape. Go one more time. Inhale to open up. Exhale to draw elbows down. We're going to hold here, pause here for a moment. I just want you to have a quick glance, almost just out the corner of your eye at your elbows, and see if you can get them to be just maybe millimeters back behind your shoulders. A real sense of opening in the chest. If you want to here, you're welcome to play with dropping the head. It might feel like quite an intense stretch through the back of the neck and the top of the shoulders. You may want to move the head, give it a bit of a shake. And then when you're ready, we'll inhale, lift the arms up and overhead, lift the gaze, look up towards the fingers. Exhale, let the hands gently draw down however you want to. They're going to find the knees. They're going to find the knees, whether you are kneeling, straight legs, or whether you've got your legs crossed like I have. And we'll just find that seated cat-cow that we've been coming through the last few weeks. On your inhale breath, pulling against the knees, lift the chest, lift the gaze, broaden across the collarbones, open up through the throat. Exhale, breath tucks the chin to the chest, push against the knees to pull the belly button back to the spine to round in through the body. Inhale, breath lifts the chest, lifts the chin. I'm going to spin to the side so you can see what I'm doing. Lift the chest, lift the chin, broadens the collarbones, lift the gaze. Exhale, breath takes it in exactly the opposite direction, rocking back into the tailbone, pulling the belly button to the spine, rounding in. We'll go a couple more times at your own pace. Make this your last round, your last full breath. And when you're ready, bring yourself gently back to neutral, find a neutral spine. Make any little wiggles that you need to, maybe a roll of the shoulders, a bit of a shimmy, maybe you want to stretch out the legs, anything goes as we make our way over onto all fours. We're using all fours simply as a transition to make our way to somewhere else, but while we're there, we'll just make the most of it, a little glute activation moment that will kind of lead into where we're headed with our sort of flow. So find your way onto all fours. Hands are stacked firmly underneath the shoulders. Fingers are spread wide. Knees are stacked underneath the hips. And in your own time, you're going to lengthen the right leg back behind you. You're welcome to tuck the toes underneath and stretch out through the back of the calf if that feels good and interesting. If you don't fancy that, you're lifting the legs straight away. If you're enjoying the stretch, the heel is reaching towards the back of the mat. The back of the leg is long, the knee presses up towards the ceiling. And then when you're ready, we'll all meet with the leg lifted. So if you went straight there, we'll join you now, reaching back through the right leg, the leg in line with the hip as best you can get it. And as the leg comes up, try not to let the body come down. So you're keeping everything in one line, the leg comes up to meet the body. Now notice how you've had to squeeze the right bum cheek to get that leg to come up in line. You're going to use that sense of activation here as you inhale. Bend the right knee, and I want you to imagine pressing the foot up towards the ceiling. So what we're not going to do is press the foot up towards the ceiling. That would be too easy, because pressing the foot up towards the ceiling is going to have this effect on the body. And we're not after that. We're interested in keeping the body in a straight line. You've got foot imagining it's pressing up towards the ceiling, and imagine it's being pushed back down. Can you feel how much the right bum cheek has to activate now? The right hamstring is switched on. So we're going to switch between this shape, inhaling here, exhaling, driving the knee underneath the body, tucking nose to knee. So that is a bit of a relief for the hamstring, but it's actually working the core. You're pulling the belly button in. So again, we're going glute and then core. Inhale, breath, press the leg up. Imagine pushing the foot up against something resisting you overhead. Squeeze the right bum cheek. Inhale. Exhale, knee to nose, hugging it in, belly button pulled to the spine. We'll go 2 more. Press right foot high. Squeeze, squeeze, squeeze. Inhale, exhaling, knee to nose. This is going to be your last one. Inhale, right foot presses high. Imagine it's being resisted. There is something pushing the right foot down. And then hug, knee into the chest. Rounding in. From there, you might choose to lengthen the right leg back 1 more time, tuck toes, press the heel back. And then we'll return the right knee underneath the right hip. We'll bring these feet on the end of our arms. We'll bring our hands away from the mat, just give the wrists an opportunity to roll out. If you need to readjust your position, change any layers, you're welcome to. This is just our little opportunity to bring a bit of life back into the wrists. So if you felt the wrists and the shoulders were really feeling that kind of passive stretch, that passive shape we were in, pressing the hands into the floor, then it's a good opportunity to kind of roll them out or get a bit of movement in there. And then when you're ready, when you feel like the wrists have come back to life, we'll bring the hands back to the floor and just come into that movement on the other side. So hopefully, I think now I've taken my jumper off, I can show you a little better what I'm after, what I mean. So as the left leg stretches back, left toes are tucked under, left heel compressed to the back of the room. If you don't like this sensation, if it doesn't work for your knee, or you just don't like the feeling of stretching in the ankle in that sort of way, you're immediately bringing the leg to lifted. Pressing back if you're stretching, taking maybe a last couple of breaths here, and then when you're ready, we'll all lift the left leg and meet there. The left leg is stretching back, and what I mean by that is you're reaching with some part of the foot. Some people like pointed toes. Some people prefer pull the toes towards your face and reach out through your heel. Some people prefer a combination of the two, and this is where I am at, which is a reach through flexed toes. We're going to call it a foint. It's a flexed pointed toe. Lengthen the leg back behind you, and then we'll play with that activation. So, not worrying too much about the breath, not worrying too much about stability. Take breaks when you need to, tap the toes down if you want to. Just get to grips with how it feels to bend up the left knee, and imagine pushing the foot up towards the ceiling and being resisted. So when I do this in in-person class, this is why, again, you're going to think, oh, I'm definitely staying online, she's going to make this even harder. When I do this in an in-person class, sometimes I'll come around with a block and press down on that foot so you can really feel what I'm after. Imagine I've put a block against your foot and I'm pushing it down on the left foot. So we're going to switch between an inhale here and an exhale, hugging the knee underneath the chest, pulling the belly button to the spine, relief through the hamstring, hopefully here, but core activation, push the floor away. Inhale, send the leg back, try not to let the belly dip, press the foot towards the ceiling. Exhale, draws the knee into the chest. If your breath works a different way here, or if you want to move a little slower and you need to control the breath in a different way, you can do that. It's just sometimes useful to have the guide of an inhale here and an exhale tucking in. As you come to this next inhale, think about what you do with your neck. See if you can bring your neck in line with the spine on your inhale breath, the whole body in one long straight line from knee to crown of the head. Exhale, tuck it in underneath the chest. This is going to be our last one because I lost count on this side. Sorry, inhale, press foot towards the ceiling. Exhale, draw the knee into the chest, hug everything in, push the floor away. And then when you're ready, maybe lengthening the left leg back out. Perhaps it feels good to give it a stretch to press it back. Then you'll bring knee underneath the hip, hands away from the floor. You are welcome, if you want to tuck your toes as you do this, get a bit of a stretch through the sole of the foot. If that's interesting to you, you might choose not to. You might prefer to do this standing, which is totally fine. If you think, no, I can't kneel, I'm done with kneeling for today, then you can roll out the hands standing. So we're going to make our way to our forward fold. We're not going to spend that much time in a forward fold today, because a forward fold, if we're thinking about, I mean, you probably guessed by now, we're thinking about glute activation and that drawing in of the belly. So we've got this kind of powerhouse to enable us to kind of move with control. A forward fold doesn't do much for either of those parts of the body. So we're going to swap forward fold out for something else. So we'll make our way there, probably our one and only forward fold of practice. You've got choices. You can choose to use the fingertips to stabilize you on the floor, step one foot forwards and then the other foot forwards. Or you can choose to push the floor away, rock up onto the feet and lift the hips high. Whichever feels good for you, and you can take your time doing either. So if you rock back onto the feet and you love the sensation of this little squat pose, we're going to come into and out of this a few times. So you might test it out now, see how it feels for you. Then you're very welcome to hang out there for a breath. If you've ended up in your forward fold sooner, don't worry about it. We'll meet there in our forward fold, having a wiggle. So you can move any way you like in your forward fold, pedal out through the legs, shake the head. Maybe a little shake the head, no. A little nod the head, yes. A bit of a swing of the body from side to side. When you're ready, it's going to be a gentle bend in the knees and a roll up to stand. You can take as long as you like. If anything, I would like to not be the last person coming up to stand. So there's your challenge, should you choose to accept it. Pull the belly in. Stack each and every vertebrae of the spine, one on top of the next. Keep the knees buoyant the whole time. Shoulder blades slide onto the back body. Stack the bones of the neck as you lift the head last. The chest is open. Take a breath if you can. Total stillness. Nice. And then from here, take a few steps forwards if you're at the back of your mat, but you don't necessarily want to be right up on that top edge of the mat, because we're working in this, the same as we did last week and the same as we have been kind of over the last few weeks. We're working in this way where we're going to combine a few kind of yin-inspired, longer held shapes. We're kind of not moving around the mat so much. We are a little bit, not tons. So you want to be in the top third of your mat, giving yourself a bit of breathing room in front of you. I hope that makes sense. Because otherwise, if you're right up here, we're going to set yourself up for failure in this first float through, and you're going to think, how is that supposed to work? So find yourself stood somewhere near the top of the mat, perhaps thinking about how the feet engage with the floor. You want them to be pointing straight ahead of you. If you are somebody who naturally has a bit of a turnout in your feet, or naturally has one foot that sort of tends to hang in slightly, see if you can just, there aren't many times that I would urge you to correct that. Mostly, I'd let you crack on, have your feet where however they feel comfortable, unless we're going to come into a bended knee. And if we're coming into a bended knee, we really want the toes pointing in the same direction that the knees are going to travel. Because if the toes are off, the knees are pointing sort of all over the shop to send the knee into a place of instability. We want knees and toes pointing in the same direction. So just check, feet point forwards, giving the game away there. We're coming into a bended knee, which you probably worked out. So Toes point forwards. Feet are engaged with the floor. Rather than reaching the arms up and overhead, we're going to scoop the arms up and through. So in your own time, perhaps bringing the arms back to start the movement, use your inhale to scoop the arms through to chest height as you sit the bum low. I like palms spread wide here as though my fingers were kind of combing through the air. Sit the bum low, reach the hands out in front, palms perhaps facing slightly towards the ceiling as though you were holding a beach ball out in front. Sit the bum down. Use all of those points of activation that have been working so far. We have got space across the chest. We've come into that a few different times. We've got this sense of the belly hugging in, the sides of the waist hugging in, and the bum sitting low. Perhaps a little squeeze of the bum to keep control here. Inhale, breath, lift the chest. Exhale, breath. You're going to come into your forward fold, but just as a transition. So it can be as soft as you like. I'm really going to bend the knees coming down. Fingertips find the floor. Allow the fingertips to stabilize you as you lift the heels and bring the bum low into that little squat. If this shape is inaccessible for you or doesn't work for your knees, you go from this very soft forward fold to kneeling. And then you'll swing the legs out and around behind you and meet the rest of us as we make our transition to seated. Walk the hands back behind you. Walk the hands back behind you. You know this, we've done this a couple of times now. So find your way to seated, bum on the floor. Hands are going to find the backs of the knees almost straight away. You'll lift the chest. Again, because we've done this before, you sort of know where you're headed. Lift the chest, bring the body weight into the sit bones. Your weight is light on the tippy toes, and you're going to see how it feels to bring the shins to parallel. Coming into your boat pose, you know it. Can you hold it? We did 2 breaths last week, I think, without the hands. Let's see if we can go for 3. Extending out the fingertips towards the feet, lifting the chest the whole time. Body weight balanced on the sit bones, like a kind of perfect little balancing point here. Imagine you're sort of sitting up on that perfect point of the pyramid and there's nowhere else to go. Fingertips reach for the toes. Inhale, breath here. Exhale, allow the feet to find the floor. Give the knees a hug in. Allow the body to wrap around the knees. Allow the head to hang, the back to get soft and relaxed here. Nice. From this place, you're going to keep a hold of your right knee, extend your left leg out long in front of you. Your right foot is going to stay on the floor. So previously, up to now, we've come into this shape and worked sort of yin posture. We're going to bring the left hand to the floor just beside your left hip. Your right hand is going to keep a hold of your right knee to keep the chest lifted. And we're going to play with a little strengthener here before we come into that relaxed shape. So on your inhale breath, left toes lift towards the ceiling. The whole leg goes with them. Exhale, you lower the leg down with control. So from the side, it's an inhale, lift the leg. Exhale, lower the leg with control. It's hard. It's super hard, this one. The thing we're interested in most of all is not letting the body sag back. Inhale, lifts the toes. Exhale, lowers the heel. We're going to go for 3 more. Inhale, lift. Exhale, lower. Active toes, critical. Inhale, lift. Exhale, lower. The shake is coming in. I can't remember how many more we said we'd do. We'll do 1 more. Inhale, lift. Exhale, let it go. Let the heel find the floor. This right knee can fall out to the side or can extend out long, giving you space between the feet. We'll inhale, breath the arms up overhead. Exhale, turn the body towards the outstretched leg. Allow the body to fold out long over the leg. My personal preference is hands on the floor. If you really want to grab the leg and draw the body long, you can. But I find hands on the floor just gives me that all-important breathing room across the chest, that space across the collarbones. You're folding forwards over the leg, but you don't need to pull. You don't need to grab and drag the body in, stretching out through the hamstring here. When you feel ready, we're going to make our way out of this shape by walking the hands back up to neutral. I think this is going to turn you on your mat. which I'm not that bothered about, you may end up facing away from me. Just course correct as you need to. You're going to bring the hands over towards your right so you can bring yourself onto your knees. So it's a slightly clunky transition, but it's part of that all-important building of practice of being able to get up and down off the floor by yourself. So onto the knees, and from this place on your knees, you are going to bring it to a place where you can step into a lunge. So I'm just thinking about how best to show you this because it's hard to get both my legs on the camera. So what I would do if I was moving from here is I'd step my left leg back and my right leg forwards. So what we want to do is end up in a lunge, left leg back, right leg forwards. That makes sense. And I mean, it's not my finest transition. Inhale breath, the fingertips are going to rise overhead just for a moment. You're reaching up and out. This left leg that we were just lifting and lowering is actually now hopefully getting an all-important and quite pleasant stretch down the front of the leg, while it's your right leg that is now doing strong work. Inhale breath here. Exhale breath here. Inhale breath. Can you reach fingertips forwards and draw almost the body in line with the back leg for a breath? Inhale here. Exhale here. You're going to inhale, reach it forwards. Exhale, step left foot to join right foot, hands sweep back. Inhale, hands scoop forwards, chest lifts, bum sits low, you're back at the beginning. You've got that beach ball held out in front. You're sitting the bum down into it. You can take your inhale here. Exhaling, you're going to press to stand. You can bring the hands to heart center. You can bring the hands onto the body. You can have the hands hanging by the sides, whatever you need to kind of check in with things here. So we come out with this little fiery moment, just allows us to kind of come back to stillness and really notice how the stillness feels. We can do exactly the same on the other side. Then a final float through. We're going to find some longer held yin shapes. So feet are pointed in the same direction as the toes. Hips are stacked over the ankles. The hands are going to sweep forwards, that kind of scooping through the air. And I find that so, sometimes a gesture can really help with the tapping into what's supposed to be happening in the body. I find that scoop through so useful in kind of activating the front of the belly and sitting the bum low. So see if you can make it really functional as well as expressive and enjoyable. The hands might sweep back to move forwards. Inhaling, you're going to comb the fingers through the air, sit the bum low. Imagine holding that beach ball out in front. You can sit a little lower perhaps this time if you're starting to get to grips with it. The belly's drawing in, you're not sticking the bum out, you're keeping the back long. Inhale, breath here. Exhale, breath, you're going to hold here. Inhaling. Exhale, you go through your soft forward fold. Your choice, you can go to kneeling and then seated, or you can rock the heels away from the floor and lower to a little squat shape now. Your choice. From this place, we meet on our bum, walking the hands back behind you, or perhaps using the hands as a counterbalance to lower the bum to the ground. Straight away, you go in, hands find the backs of the knees, they tuck in underneath the backs of the knees, and you're going to use the hands against the knees to pull the chest up. To pull the chest to a lifted position. Balancing, I did a bad job of explaining it last time. I want you to imagine you're sitting on a pyramid, you're right at the top. So you've got to keep that balance and those sit bones pressing down into the floor. Toes are going to lift if that feels good, maybe up in line with the shins, maybe higher if you've got it. Fingertips reach out towards the toes. We're going for 3 breaths here. This is your last one. Chest lifted the whole time. There might be a little rocking with the breeze of the breath. That's okay, as long as you've got control of it. This is your last breath. Exhale, feet to the floor, hug the knees in. This moment is your opportunity to really let the back body go. So, let the shoulders be soft. Let the back of the neck hang. You know what's coming next, so take this opportunity to kind of catch your breath. So these slow shapes, these kind of grounded shapes, but still so strong in the movements. Left knee stays in towards the body, right leg extends out long. Spin it around so you can see what I'm doing. Right hand is just out beside your right hip. Left hand keeps a hold of the left knee. You can go left knee and forearm together, as long as this hand isn't going to obscure the lift of this leg. So when you're ready, coming into it, left foot, your left foot can help. If you press that left foot down into the floor, you've got more kind of grounded power with which to lift the right leg. So when you're ready, on your inhale, right toes lift. Exhale, right heel lowers with control. I'll show you it from the side. Inhale, right leg lifts. Exhale, it lowers. You're not allowing the body to move a millimetre. Belly pulling in. Exhale, heel lowers. You're going for 3 more to keep it even with the other side. This right hand is relaxed as best you can. Your face is relaxed. I know that's hard. Exhale, lower the heel. 2 more. Can you smile? Inhale, lift. Exhale, lower. Notice how much softer it feels. You can get a little smile in, even if you're faking it. Inhale, lift. Exhale, lower. Let it go. Let the left knee either drop out to the side or extend out long. Inhale, fingertips lift. Exhale, turn the body towards the outstretched leg. Allow the body to bow over that outstretched leg that is totally relaxed. Hands find the floor, or the leg if that's your preference, but try to resist the temptation to grab and drag, pull the body forwards. Instead, think about lengthening the chest out over the leg, thinking nose to big toe. Look long rather than straight down. When you're ready, you're going to walk your way back up to neutral. World's clunkiest transition I'm going to turn around for so you can see what I do. I'm going to go hands over to my left, onto my knees. I'm facing the wrong way, but I'll figure that out as I go. I'm going to step my right leg back and my left leg forwards into a lunge. We'll work on that. I might have something beautiful for you next week. Wrote these down clearly without thinking about how they go together. Inhale, breath, the fingers are going to rise. You're thinking about stretch through the front of that right thigh. You can have a little micro bend in the right knee if it helps with the sensations in the lower back. Some of us find that straight back leg jams out the lower back in a way that's uncomfortable. You can keep it little bend if that's useful. We're going to take a couple of breaths here. Left leg is doing the work, resisting gravity. Right leg hopefully looking into a bit of a stretch. Inhale, breath. Quiet, exhale, breath. Inhale, can you shift the body weight forwards as if you're going to spring off the toes. Hold it here for a breath in your arrow lunge. Inhale, reach. Exhale, step, hands swing back. Inhale, scoop, sit the bum low, come to that chair. Exhale, push to stand, hands to the body or hanging by your sides. Take a moment in stillness. All right, when you're ready, we're coming back in. Our final round is simply going to take us to the floor for a few longer held stretches. So I'm just going to correct my traveling mat. If you've got anything you need to adjust, this is your moment, this is your opportunity. Again, you want to be top third of your mat, a bit of breathing room in front of you. And in your own time, we'll find ourselves there. Feet are stacked, toes are pointed forwards in the same direction as the knees. This is your last chair pose. So bringing the hands back to scoop forwards, inhaling, you'll draw the hands through the air as if they're combing the fingers through water, sit the bum low. That beach ball out in front, the chest is open, you're sitting down into it. You're gonna hold here for a breath. Inhale here. Exhale, come into your forward fold. Keep it soft, 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 all the way down. Nice. From this place, fingertips find the floor. All you're going to do is step back your right leg Right knee to the ground, step back your left leg, left knee to the ground. And with as much control as you've got, you can make this a strengthening moment. If you're interested, you're going to bring the body to the floor. If you're interested in finding a little moment of strength here, you might see how it feels to bring the body down and pause just an inch away from the floor in your crocodile, elbows hugged into the ribcage. Inhale, breath. Exhale, let the body find the floor. From here, coming into something so simple, hands are going to slide forwards on the mat until the elbows lift the body and are stacked underneath the shoulders. What you should end up with is elbows stacked under shoulders, not out to the sides, but stacked underneath, lifting the body. Arms straight out in front, forearms, straight out in front, parallel like train tracks. The body relaxed. This is your Sphinx pose, the whole body supported. It's a really common yin shape. It's a really lovely, long, held moment. You might choose to separate the feet a little bit. So if you feel this in your lower back at all, my suggestion is that you take the feet just a little wider, perhaps out as wide as the corners of your mat. You are welcome here to let the head hang, if that feels good. You're keeping the body lifted, trying not to let the body sag, but maybe the head wants to hang, the back of the neck wants to be relaxed here. Looking into this sensation of a stretch long through the front of the belly. When you feel ready, and there is no hurry at all, but when it feels like the right moment, you're going to bring the hands in towards one another, stack them one on top of each other, take the elbows out wide until you can rest your forehead on your hands. Just allow the body to drop back into total kind of softness, supported by the floor, belly down in neutral. And then when you feel ready, you're going to support the body on the right. You're going to support the forehead on the right hand or right forearm. As you lift the left toes towards the bum, perhaps you reach back with the left hand to catch a hold of those toes. If that reach is inaccessible, leave the left hand out of it. Continue to rest the forehead on both hands, and think about drawing the left heel towards the left bum cheek as you reach the left kneecap away. And if you're somebody who often relies on a grabbing or a dragging of the body, or you notice that's something that you're kind of often keen to go for, perhaps leave the hand out anyway, because it feels interesting to do this using just the activation that you've got available. So by drawing the heel towards the bum and reaching the left kneecap away, see if you can find a stretch to the front of the left thigh. If you've got a hold of the foot, you're thinking about bringing the foot down towards the bum. Breath is steady the whole time. Back of the neck is long, shoulders relaxed. In your own time, you're going to release this left leg ever so gently. Try not to let it spring away from you. And we'll just switch over. Lengthening the left leg out, supporting the forehead using the left hand or the left forearm. So I personally like forehead just lightly resting on the kind of space between the wrist and the elbow. That works for me. You're going to fold at the right knee and begin to bring the right heel in towards the right bum cheek. Your choice. You can reach back and grab it, or you can just play with seeing how it feels to activate here, drawing the right heel towards the bum cheek and reaching the right knee away from the body. See if you can find a stretch without grabbing the foot, without pulling and dragging. If you know you've got it within your reach, if you know it's available to you, you are welcome to reach back and draw the heel down. You might play with both. breath easy. When you feel like it's time, you're going to gently release. Let the right leg unfurl long, bringing yourself back to neutral, perhaps having a rock of the hips from side to side if that feels good, that feels interesting. And then just super simple in the transition here, tuck the toes underneath you at the back, bring the hands under the shoulders, and as slowly as you're able to go, press the body back through to something like a child's pose. So my suggestion is take the knees wide, allow the big toes to come in towards one another, sit the hips back into the heels. See if you can make this about the glute stretch. So almost imagining reaching back with the sit bones, reaching back with the kind of pointy bit of the bum. Your hands can be out in front, or you can support the forehead with the hands stacked one on top of the other if that feels better in your shoulders. An easy breath. Reach of the bum for the back of the space, for the back of the mat behind you. From here, well, I suppose you have choices. You have choices. Of course you do. You always do. But you could choose to stay in child's pose. If you like being here, this suits you and you want to hang out here for a little longer. Or you could choose to make your way to a Shavasana of your own kind of choosing by drawing the hands in towards the knees as you roll the body up through kneeling and bringing yourself over onto your back. So the choice is yours. Stay in your child's pose if it really suits you, if it feels like it's serving you for these next few minutes. Or perhaps bring yourself over onto your back, feet on the floor, knees bent. Or perhaps stretch the legs out long and bring yourself into an extended, kind of fully reclined Shavasana. Perhaps you want to lie on your side, using your bottom arm as a pillow. Find any shape that feels right in your body to allow yourself to settle down into stillness here. Anything that feels like a good, kind of easy place to be. If you need to get extra layers or pull a blanket over you, you can do. Please feel free to do that. And we're going to come back, whatever shape you're in, whatever comfortable posture you found, we're going to come back to those little things we were noticing, observing, using as touch points right at the beginning of the practice. Notice the places where the body makes contact with the mat and is fully supported there. Notice tension dropping from the places where the body is fully supported. Allow a sense of ease to flood through the body. Notice the quietening of the mind. subtle slowing down, lengthening of the breath. And perhaps just take a moment to observe the range here. To remind yourself that this strong body just moments ago held boat pose and practiced leg lifts and an arrow lunge. And now it has the capacity to completely let go of that tension. If you want to stay here in your Shavasana a little longer, please don't move. Stay as you are. Let the practice end around you. Enjoy these last few moments of quiet stillness. If you are ready to move, as always, go carefully, go kindly. Perhaps starting with small movements like a wiggle of the fingers and the toes. Moving through a big stretch of the body until you feel eventually ready to come to sit. If you are moving or if you have stayed in your Shavasana, you might like to take a moment now all together to seal this practice. Perhaps with a gesture of gratitude, bringing the hands into prayer, bowing the head to the wisdom of the heart, or anything else that feels right in your body, maybe just taking a final sigh. Thank you so much for joining me this morning. If you're still in Shavasana, stay there. You don't have to move. If you have surfaced, I'll give you a wave. It was lovely to see you all.